Hey everybody, welcome to our Tuesday night Zoom call. It is the 28th of August and decided to be 27th, 29th. Got it. All right, well the month is going really fast. And one of the things that we're talking about client acquisition, because raise your hand if you watched or listened to the leadership call last night everyone listen or watch. So before you go to bed tonight, unless, I guess, or tomorrow, first thing. If you're reaching for a goal, go do it tonight. If not, do it tomorrow. But watch the replay of the leadership call. How you get there is you go to your Office in Motion. When you go to your co-branded website, scroll down, Coach Login. You'll put your password, ID number, password, and then again across the top, resources, leadership call. Click on it. It was really good because it talks about kind of client acquisition, what to say. But one of the charges that was put out there is, what if we all attracted 2 new clients? Every health coach. There was 1,000 on the call last night, so there's 10,000. What if we attracted 2 new people? What would that look like? I mean, how many people would be, we could really change the world, or at least the United States. And so look for that and put it out there. I mean, like, I've reached my my frontline volume goal this month, but of course I can't not go along with it because it's fun when you go reach for something. So anyway, so do that and listen to it and look at how you can do that, what to say. Tonight we're going to talk about, and I say this almost every time, around what are we looking at, because each of us, no matter if we knew what to do and what to say, unless we have our head in the right place and our heart in the right place, it doesn't matter what we say. So the first thing for success is that mindset. Where's your mindset? Are you clear about what you're actually offering? Are you clear? Are you selling a diet? Are you getting clients? Are you transforming lives? So what keeps it very simple for me around mindset is, what am I about? I am looking to make a difference for someone. Most of us in the health wellness field, that's what we want. We want to make a difference for someone. And so if that is your goal and you go out with wanting to make a difference for someone, then it's very clear that if someone doesn't want a difference made for, it's okay. It's not personal. That's my goal. And we talked about that last week. When you knock on someone's door, you go to everyone's apartment and someone says, I'm not going, and you stand there and argue with them and try and convince them to come out. Well, you lose the ability to knock on, 20 more doors and save a lot of lives. And so I think that's a real important thing. So what kind of concepts will hold us back? I know some of them are, I'm going to bother somebody. I'm going to offend somebody. So, so one of the things is, look at what your concepts. And one thing that's really kind of cool, there is a TED Talk called The 5-Second Rule. Do y'all know about that? The 5-Second Rule TED Talk. So you can read TED Talk or read the book. It's a great book. But what your brain does when you hesitate, if you hesitate, like, oh, I want to make this call. I really, she's on my heart to help, but I'm scared. When you hesitate, your brain goes, danger, 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 alert, alert, because you did not hesitate when you put on your pants today. You didn't hesitate at all when you put on your shirt, when you brushed your teeth. You didn't hesitate at all. But when we hesitate, our brain really thinks something's wrong. So be real conscious of that. So that's the mindset. We're here to make a difference, here to provide value. And then we have structures and systems in place because we don't always feel like it. So the more automated we can become, the more easily our business will flow. And one of the things that I have found, when you're awakened and when you have a big enough, and what do we do with our clients too, right? They have a mindset that they're looking for something, and we have a structure in place for them to get results. So your structure and your systems that you put in place cause results, and they create new habits that you don't have to think about. So one of the things with goal setting, we're trying to set a goal, is like, I find goals kind of boring. They're more like tasks to me that I have to do, and I get in that obligation mode. So we've got to, but if we look at goals that are way too big and lofty, like just making a difference for people, well, if it's too far out there, I might not make a difference. I might not do what it takes. Yeah, I want to make a difference, and I keep my vision out there, but what about close up? We need to have a balance between stretch goals that are really going to make us become a different person, a better version of ourselves, but also we want to have these close up goals too, these realistic goals that we can accomplish. The problem sometimes comes, we get addicted to the checklist, and then we don't stretch. So we want to make sure that our goals that we're setting are visionary, wide, broad. They make us stretch. So, one of, mine is to impact thousands of lives. Again, sometimes when I focus on a rank or something like that, I'll get resistant. It ignites fear. So watch for fear, and then watch for, but impacting thousands of lives, what does that look like? And so get more specific, as you can keep getting more and more specific, but not just task oriented. So when you're, one of the things that one of my goals, it's a financial goal, but it's not necessarily because the money I want to make, I probably couldn't spend. I don't think like that, but I love material things, don't get me wrong. And it's important to have that, but it's who you become in the process. Who you become in the process of making this much money. When you make 6 figures, who you become that can do that makes the kind of decisions that impacts people's lives in a certain way. So that's what you're looking for. And that's really helped me a lot too. So when you're thinking about goals, there's 3 dimensions, and you want to look at what are your intrinsic goals, what are your intrinsic values. Probably for all of us on the line, it's making a difference for people, impacting people's health, impacting people's lives. And then we want to look at what are our extrinsic goals, like how much money do we want to make, and really be okay with materialistic goals, because by God, if you have, the more money you have, the more money you can send to Houston. And there is no doubt about that. And you can even send it in a pretty package. You know what I'm saying? So, and you can, while you go to the bank or post office, you can look really good in what you're wearing. You know what I mean? And drive up in a nice car. And really think about what would make you feel good. And do those goals. So you want to think they're intrinsic. You want an extrinsic goal. And you also want to create, those goals have to be juicy enough and attached to it enough, mean enough to you that you're willing to do the things that are a little bit difficult. We're making choices. And I remember when I did that, I make the choice not to stop at the store on the way home. I go to the grocery store on the weekends. And then I get my husband to go to the grocery store. Now, let me tell you, that's giving up a lot of control, because I have no idea what kind of apple he's going to pick out. And we do not leave apple. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to make choices. And I remember the choices I make. And there are times when I don't get to do as much shopping as I want to do or whatever. But there are choices that you make, not out of obligation, because you want the goal. And we're asking our clients to do that every single day. So if we can look at that for our own selves. So one other thing I wanted to share, about when we're looking, so to attract clients, the question, simple formula, who do we want to serve? And we're adding value. Who is that we want? And we can all put our hands on our heart and think of who it is. What do we want to create? Again, what kind of business do we want to have? What do we want to create? What kind of results do we want? how can we advance our mission? How can we do that? So whether back to the leadership call, listen, all the hows are on that leadership call from last night. There is a lot of hows that we can do in the next day or two. And, and how can we do that? And when we're thinking and going a little bit deeper is, who do we want to become? And how do we advance our mission? How do we advance ourselves? How do we grow ourselves in terms of who we want to become? And what kind of legacy are we building? I know a lot of us, Molly, and I'm going to let Molly share a little bit because, but, and I know a lot of you have children, and having, children, it's not only what you can buy them or do for them, but it's who they watch you be. And I remember when I first started coaching and my kids would hear me, I'm sorry, hey, Prince, I'm going to shut up now. But they said, Mom, you really like this, don't you? And so they saw me being happy with what I was doing. And I've never forgotten that. And so it's a real big value of mine. And so I know that a lot of you probably have that too, and it'll keep growing. So Molly, you have had a big frontline volume business for 7 years? And so how do you attract clients? You're very good at structuring your time and not to give too much and not to, where you set boundaries with your family and what's important to you, yet you still have clients that roll in. And I want to say roll in because it's not like you don't work it, but there is an attractiveness where there's a flow that happens. And that's what I want each of us to tap into, is when we're working too hard at something. There's a hard work where you're going uphill and you're getting somewhere, and there's the work that's just the frustrating work. And so there's a distinction between when you're working hard and you're going somewhere, and then things flow, and when you're not. So Miles, I'm going to have you share a little bit about client support and not client support, I'm sorry, acquiring clients, attracting clients, deciding who you want to work with, and the difference that you can make for people.
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak. Acquiring clients for me, my experience has been one of the key things is just to be authentically who you are. Be very real about how you are and what your personal struggles or challenges might be and what your successes have been. Be relatable to people. And what I mean by that is one of the biggest platforms we all have is social media, right? So one of the things that I have, just by the nature of who I am that I've done on Facebook, is I don't have a separate Facebook page for business and one for personal. I'm not suggesting that's not a good idea, but for me, I want to be fully integrated in all that I do. So if I'm fully integrated, that means, there isn't a point where, I'm not health coaching right now. No, it's a mindset. It's like, I am who I am. I can't just not be Molly for a little while, and I can't just not be a health coach, and I can't just not be a mom. It's like, you're all of those things, right? So when you're fully integrated in that way and you live your life, how you live your life, I think, is a statement and is an attraction to people. So for example, on my Facebook page, anybody who I'm friends with on Facebook would know that I'm putting out there things that are going on with my family, where I am, what I'm doing, who I'm hanging out with. Also, I'll put out there maybe a healthy recipe, an inspirational quote. So you see what I'm saying? It's not like all about health. I mean, yeah, I want the health message to be in how I live my life, not in what I put in a post on Facebook. I want it to have a common thread and a theme that, I have healthy relationships, I go places, I do things, and just who I am in the world should, I hope, represent some form of balance that people are attracted to. Because if I'm always posting about oh, do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. Well, then I'm just telling people what to do. And instead of saying, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I have this new habit where I drink 32 ounces of water before I even get out of bed. Okay, how horrible does that sound? But I do it. but when I first started, it sucked. I couldn't even imagine doing it. But now I'm doing it and it doesn't suck anymore. So that's like an example of who wants to do that. I didn't want to do it either, but I started doing it and now I'm doing it. Now it's not hard. So just kind of like being real about what's going on in your world, what you love, what speaks to you. If there's something out there that's a quote and it speaks to you, it's probably going to speak to somebody else. There's probably a reason why it speaks to you. So if it's speaking to you, let it represent that moment for you and put it out there. I don't post like, one thing an hour. I'm not like a crazy poster. I mean, people kind of laugh at me because they're like, you must be back in town because you put, 3 or 4 posts up today, and then I might go silent for 4 days. But that's kind of just a rhythm that you get into. Just be authentically who you are. And when you're speaking to somebody, there are a couple of things that I remember learning very early in health coaching. You cannot say the wrong thing to the right person. You cannot say the right thing to the wrong person. Know that. Know that. It's okay. Say it anyway. You have a responsibility to be who you are. You have an offer. You want to be attractive enough that people will trust what you're going to say. But please don't get stuck in not saying something, because you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. When somebody's ready, you could be going blah, 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 and they go, okay, I want to do that. That sounds awesome. And you can't say the right thing to the wrong person, because you know what? They're not going to change. They're not ready. So it's okay. So that was one of the things that I learned early in health coaching. The other thing I learned was if you're uncomfortable, which kind of goes back to what Susan was saying about concepts, right? If you're uncomfortable saying something, I can assure you the recipient is uncomfortable receiving it. It's just kind of like human nature. If you're in a comfortable place and you're being authentically who you are and you're speaking from your heart, that will come through. That will just come through. That's just kind of like basic stuff I've learned in my life. If I got to say something hard, I know it's hard on the person hearing it. That doesn't mean I shouldn't say it. Just means you got to have to be kind of tuned in emotionally and respect that, what's happening and unfolding. But when it comes to like acquiring clients and, being attractive to people, yeah, you just got to realize, God, if I say that, I don't even like saying that. So I'm not going to say that. Don't say it. If you don't like saying it, don't say it. Come up with another way to say it that makes you comfortable, that delivers and lands the way you want it to land. Don't use my words. Don't necessarily use Susan's, figure out what works for you, because that's where the authenticity and the genuineness will come through. Does that help, Susan?
Definitely. That helps so much. And, it's so true, that authenticity. And one thing you mentioned about Facebook, anyone can take anything from sometimes we all live in a geographic area, and you're always usually welcome to take other people's posts. But one thing I want to just advise is that if you do like someone's post, you might want to ask permission to share. You guys have my permission. Usually I say anything to take anything of mine and post it, but ask permission from someone. Usually it's fine. But one thing I would do also is wait a couple of days, wait a week, so that it's not like on everybody's, if you happen to have mutual friends. A lot of times we don't, but it's just respect. So I just want to advise you, just have a library of places, ask if you can share the post another time. So that's just a courtesy around that. And it speaks to authenticity too, because if it's coming from you, you're able to share that. One thing I wanted to share about how if your goals, if you're in right alignment with your goals around acquiring clients and acquiring clients, and your goal around client acquisition. So we're all saying, okay, well, we want 2 new clients by the end of the month. Okay. And does it inspire me? First question you want to ask yourself, does it inspire me? Like I could say, I remember I was trying to go for a contest. I had to get 1 more client. I was like, oh, I'm tired. It's the end of the month. I don't want to do it. And okay. And I really said this. I think I've shared this before. I know I've shared it, but I go, okay, God, you want me to help somebody this month? I've already met my goal. 1 more. Okay. And I said, if I'm going to do it, have them right in front of me. Have it easy right in front of me because I'm really tired. and sure enough, one of my yoga clients was ready that morning. It was a Friday. I remember, never forgot. So it's like, just really, it's who do you want to serve? And to Molly's point, I physically put my hand on my heart before I talk to somebody. I find that it directs my words. To come more from my heart rather than my head. Because my head will try and make something sound good, and that'll be about me wanting to look good. My heart is like, I connect with you. And I don't, to Molly's point, I don't know what I want to say all the time. I do not have the right word. Nicole has the right words. Molly has good words. I don't always have words. But that's why I put my hand on my heart, so that my message is heard. You, Molls.
The other thing that I would encourage you to consider in health coaching, how you approach your business is going to be part of the DNA you create, because you will not stay here, likely, right? You're likely going to acquire other health coaches, and you're likely going to have a team of other people who want to link arms and make a business out of what you're doing, what we're doing. So I think it's really can be very motivational to try to put, lead from the future kind of hat on, where you want to make sure that you don't want to be the expert, because nobody will be able to, they're going to think, I can't do what you do. You don't want the fancy words, because this person is probably a great potential health coach, but if you're over coaching or over explaining or over guiding or over talking, she's never going to think she can do that or he can do that. So let that be your motivation. Think from the future, lead from the future, do things in a way the system is set up to do it, follow it, because you know what? You can turn around and teach somebody how to do that. Self-sufficiency in your clients, self-sufficiency in your health coaches, that's like my dream. That's my dream, self-sufficiency. I set it up as a goal for my kids, and I set it up as a goal for my clients. But that requires me to what? Let go of the control, right? It requires something of me. So let that be your motivation for not being perfect, please.
Love that. Love that. So does your goal inspire you? Does it encourage you? Does it have you get out of your comfort zone just a little bit to do something you might not ordinarily do? That's what sometimes a goal will do for me. Like if I'm trying to go for a trip or trying to, reach a rank, I'm going to do something that I wouldn't have done had I not been trying for that. So there's where a goal can be really valuable. Does it promote abundance? If I reach this goal, does a lot of people win? Even if it is, I read about someone who wanted a really, they had a really great car, and they wanted to show kids, I think it was an athlete, and he wanted to show athletes what could be done, poor children, that what could be possible. And so does it promote abundance? And most of what we do, all of what we do promotes abundance. So when you think about acquiring clients, does it promote abundance for them? Does it promote abundance for your family? And then the fourth thing to realize is, are you willing to embrace the structure that it takes to do it? Like I said, I was willing to let go of certain things around the house. Don't come over to my house. most of the time you're not invited in, because that's the one thing I don't do, is have a really neat house. So, but, you know, I have other things, you know, I have lots of clients, but anyway, so, does it, you know, are you willing to embrace the structure that you have to, you know, that it's required of you? And that's been real hard because most entrepreneurs resist structure. So you've got to watch your mindset around, are you in obligation mode? I have to, I should. And really watch that and play around with that, and you know, call, you know, your mentor or whatever and talk that through. Because you never want to get in obligation mode. It'll stop your creativity and creating this business that you want. So I want to open it up for questions. One thing, okay, so those of you that are like, listen to the leadership call playback from last night. It's in your Office in Motion under resources. Leadership call. It's about 30 minutes long. You can start, I don't want you not to listen to Dan Bell, but the first part is about the trip, and how there's a great tracking system for that. So you can listen to that, but about 10 minutes in, you can fast forward it and start. Laurie Anderson will start talking. Laurie Anderson and Doug Wood, really, really good. It'll tell you all the hows. Molly and I spoke to why and what's going to motivate you, and but they'll tell you how. And it was really, really valuable. You'll want to take notes. And then coming up on Wednesday, September the 27th, is National Optimal Health Day. Many of you are new, but it's been around for a long time. And I have to tell you that, and so we've done different things. So plan something for Wednesday, September the 27th. The company will have things, and we've done a lot of things, like as a group, we've gotten together and done things locally. But one of the first years I did it, like I wanted to do something, but my daughter had a softball game. And so, in a away game. So what I did, because I just wanted to do something. I didn't know what it was. Very uncomfortable. But I cut up bars, and I put them in a tray. And I swear I did this. And I went around and just offered people, it's National Optimal Health Day. Would you like to try a healthy snack? And one of the women said, you know, everyone took it, and maybe a little conversation. One of the women said, no, I can't eat it. I'm on a diet, or I'm on a plan. I'm working with a health coach. And I go, well, who is it? And it was Vicki Feldman, who is one of the health coaches on our team. I go, oh, you can have this, Andrea. You can have this. This is good. You know, that's exactly what I do. And there was a woman next to her, and many of y'all know she went to convention, Shelley Monkowitz. And Shelley later was asked, and then so people were talking about the program, because there was another father who did it. He lost 90 pounds. So they were all talking about the program. And then so Shelley called me later, like I was the worst about like following, you know, I didn't talk to her really. I didn't know what she had wanted. But anyway, so I did that, and she became a client, and now, you know, she's going to be a health coach, like, you know, next week. So y'all will see her. But it was just such a weird, uncomfortable thing that I did, but I just wanted to do something. So just think of something that you can do to honor National Optimal Health Day. And any questions about client support? Client acquisition, anything that y'all come up against? You know, money's always an issue, and look at your concept of money. If you think, Molly goes, I don't have a concept of money, because, you know, right. It's a lot of times, just watch what your clients have. Which I would look at what you believe, because they're going to get that. There's a great thing when you point the finger at someone else, there's three pointing back at you. It's like, just watch what you get from people and notice, what are you putting out that? Is that something you believe? You're just learning more about yourself. It's not a judgment. Anything else? Question? Yeah, Miles?
Letter story?
Letter story?
Wetter?
sweater. Yeah, go ahead and do the sweater story because we were talking about that. Go, you can tell it. I mean,
no, Susan and I were having a coaching call, and she goes, "You got to share this story." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't know, but okay, I will." And
it's so funny.
said, do you ever get frustrated when, there's a client who clearly, is a potential client who clearly needs what we have to offer, right? Like there are like 10, 15 reasons why they need what we have to offer. And they're even saying things like, "I really need what you have to offer." And then you say something about fuelings, "Oh, well, I don't want to eat fuelings." Really? And I said, "You know what that's like? For me, that is like you come upon somebody who is naked and cold, freezing to death, and you offer them a sweater, and they say, 'Oh, no, that will make me itch.'"
It's an itchy sweater.
Really? That's going to make you itch. You might not be able to get over the itching in order to be cold and not sick and not wet or not naked. I mean, like it's just fascinating to me. Some people are so resistant in spite of the need. And what I realize is that you can't save that person until they figure out that, wow, I really think a sweater would be a great idea for me.
It's so true. And the tool that we have now, that's so good, Molly. I love that because it's like, it's so true what we come across, and being patient with people till they do awaken to something better, want something more for themselves. But we have the health assessment is a great tool to use and start, hey, would you like a free, let's just go through this health assessment and let's see if we can explore a little bit more about how we can make that work for you. And so just, again, we have a couple of tools that we can use to move people along the journey. Would they like some recipes? Would they like to get Dr. A's Habits of Health? Offering them up some suggestions, but knowing that we can't save everybody. Oh my gosh. Any other questions on client support? And write them down. And again, please, before the next, so the goal is, if you choose to accept this, if everybody had 2 new clients by the end of the month, what that would do for, and I know many of you have on this call have a full client load. Like Ginger, I don't know, you can sit this one out. Because if you get anyone, and Meg, I think you might need to sit this one out because both of y'all, if y'all have any more clients, you're going to be like, so, but the rest of us, 2 new clients. And if we can, spread this, think about if 1,000 of coaches did that, again, how many lives would be changed? So, all right. Well, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate you guys being on the call. Send messages if you need anything or have any questions. And have a great week. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Moss.